Hello everyone, my name is John Hermes. Thanks for tuning in to Trivium Media, where I dig into the hidden knowledge and history that humanity can use to empower ourselves against those wishing to control and enslave us. And today we're going to get into one of the most powerful bodies of knowledge in all creation, known as the Hermetic laws. Like the Trivium, knowledge of the 7 Hermetic laws is occulted knowledge, meant to only be consumed and understood by a select few in order to maintain a power differential. They want you confused and powerless, while this information gives you understanding and empowerment. The Hermetic tradition can be seen as the well that all exoteric religious traditions stem from. It is the underlying theme of universal truth that has been known as the Great Reconciler. A well-known Hermetic phrase is, "The lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding," meaning that when the student is ready, only then will the words of wisdom be presented to them. And without the student's desire to learn and understand, the words have no meaning. So you being here is a sign that you are ready to hear this information. Not only was this information kept secret in order to control humanity by those in power, it was kept secret by those who had good intentions but hid it to avoid persecution. A couple of Egyptian phrases embodying this dynamic are, "Leave the meat for the men and the milk for the babes," and "Do not cast pearls before swine." However, many people, including myself, believe now is the time for all humanity to know this information. Our very survival as a species may depend on it. The teachings throughout time have mainly been passed down through word of mouth, and when they were written down, they were written in the forms of alchemy and astrology, only to be seen by the initiated eye. The most esoteric type of alchemy, contrary to popular belief, deals with the mental forces within, rather than the material forces like turning lead into gold. This was mostly an analogy for mental alchemy, also known as alchemical transmutation. This is the wisdom to raise your own level of consciousness and awareness to what is going on within and without of you, and how to direct your will. The laws are said to originate from a master known as Hermes Trismegistus, or Thrice Great One. The Egyptians would have known him as Thoth. Some believe he is related to Enoch or even Moses in the Hebrew tradition. Thoth was the Egyptian god of wisdom and knowledge. He was the scribe of the gods and revered by the Egyptians as the creator of hieroglyphics, science, philosophy, and magic. Thoth was represented by the ibis, most likely because the ibis protected the papyrus in the Nile River, which was used to make scrolls. The staff of Hermes uses the caduceus and symbolizes knowledge, quite possibly the knowledge of genetics. In the modern world, the healthcare industry uses it as its main symbol. Some believe that Hermes or Thoth was an actual real person or other alien or divine being that actually physically walked the earth and bestowed this knowledge to humanity. Another name he has gone by is Thoth the Atlantean. Some believe that he is an actual reincarnated being, bringing back the lost knowledge of the civilization of Atlantis. Alright, time to get into the actual laws. The first law is the law of mentalism. This law states that the all is mental, and that the universe is a mental construct of the all. Everything we see and experience is a result of previous mental states. This is because thoughts create reality. So you might be wondering, what is the all? Well, in essence, it's God, only in Hermetic terms. The Hermetic tradition says that the all is ultimately unknowable, other than a few key attributes. The all is eternal. It had no beginning and it will have no end. Nothing exists outside the all, or it wouldn't be the all. Its nature is immutable, because nothing exists outside of it to work changes on it. Later, we will use one of the other laws to show how we can deduce that our universe is actually a mental construct created by the all. The law of mentalism can be seen on the human plane by observing the things that humans create. Before anything can manifest physically, it must first exist in the mind. This is true of an art piece, an automobile, a chair, the wheel, and so on. All of these things had to be created in the mind first. The law of correspondence states that there is always correspondence between laws and phenomena of the various planes of existence. This can be seen in the ancient adage, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the soul, so the universe. This law universally applies to the physical, mental, and spiritual planes. You can see this manifest from the atom to the solar system to the galaxy. The universe is fractal in nature. To know about the self is to know about the universe, and to know about the universe is to know about the self. This allows man to reason intelligibly from the known to the unknown, and contemplate higher planes by studying the lower planes. The three planes of existence are separated by the rate of vibrational energy. You can think of this as the fourth dimension. Don't think of these as separate places per se, but a gradient scale where they blend together on the scale of vibrational energy. This gets us to the next law, the law of vibration. This law states that everything has motion and nothing is at rest, something that even modern science has begun to understand. Nothing is really a solid. All materials have their rate of vibration. This goes from atoms to the movement of planets and galaxies. The difference between the manifestations of matter, mind, and spirit is the vibrational frequency. Matter being the lowest, moving up to mental, and then the highest being the spiritual plane. This can be seen on the mental plane in the form of vibes. This is a reference to the vibrational frequencies that different mental states have. Music is a wonderful example to show how the vibrations on the plane of matter can affect the vibes on the mental plane. This can then move up to the spiritual plane in the form of well-being and inner peace. Now, let's move on to polarity. The law of polarity states that everything is dual. Everything has its poles, and everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Hot and cold are the concentration or lack of concentration of heat energy. Light and dark is the concentration or lack of concentration in light energy. They are the same thing, just differing in degree. This also transfers to the mental realm. Good and evil are both degrees of action taken in the world, and the Hermeticist is able to transmute evil to good by way of their willpower. The same goes for fear and courage, hate and love, slothful to energetic. Thus the Hermeticist can dominate his own mental states. Now on to the next law, rhythm. This law states everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the left is the measure of the swing to the right. This principle embodies the truth that there's a manifested measured motion in all things. Everything has its ebb and flow, action and reaction, advance and retreat. This is true of the universe, suns, worlds, men, animals, mind, and energy. We see this in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of civilizations, in the lives of living creatures. But most importantly for the Hermeticist, we see this in the mental states of man. The Hermeticist can use mental practices to counter this rhythm within their own psyche. They cannot get rid of the principle, but they can escape its effects to a large extent by using will. Through the law of neutralization, they can essentially stabilize themselves mentally by rising to the higher plane of conscious awareness and focusing will on the polarity they desire. Those who remain on the lower subconscious plane are subject to the pendulum swings within themselves and society. The next law is the law of cause and effect. This law states that every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. This is a well-known principle that science has caught on to. However, the Hermetics take this beyond the plane of matter. The job of the Hermeticist is to rise to the plane of causality, rather than reacting to the effects. The masses are mostly carried along by the environment and the will of others that are mentally stronger than themselves. The plane of cause is a mental plane. The world we experience is manifested by individuals acting out their will, all acting within the will of the Creator and its laws that have been put in place. The masters of this principle will rise to the plane of cause, dominating their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them. They become movers instead of being a pawn of someone else. They obey and serve the higher mental and spiritual planes, but help rule the material plane, otherwise known as the effect. The acknowledgement that everything happens by law does not mean that man is an unwitting automaton that has no will or free choice of his own. To the contrary, man uses the higher laws against the lower laws. The idea is to apply mind over matter. Will prevail. Now we get to the last law, gender. This law states that gender manifests in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Gender is necessary for the process of creating anything. This is true on all planes of existence. We can see this on the biological level with procreation, but we also see it on the atomic level. The negative pulling in force of an electron is a feminine force, while the pushing out of protons is a masculine force. The negative, also known as the cathode or feminine pole, is the mother principle of electrical phenomena. This principle can be seen manifested in the creation of atoms, nuclear physics, chemistry, electricity, magnetism, attraction, and repulsion. In the Hermetic tradition, the feminine has been associated with the creative force, and the masculine associated with the will. Gender is needed for genesis, or to generate. The idea is that the masculine directs energy toward the feminine, and the feminine then creates. We see this manifest on the mental plane as well. We all have aspects of the masculine and feminine brain. The masculine being linear and analytical thinking, dealing with the physical world and the will. Meanwhile, the feminine is the creative, emotional, ethical, and big picture thinking part of the brain. We must work on ourselves to strike a balance between these two aspects of our psyche. The masculine brain being dominant can lead to stagnant, robotic thinking and patterns, rigid skepticism, lack of empathy, and psychopathy, while the feminine brain being dominant can lead to naivete, lack of taking action and standing up for themselves, and slave think. Without your own masculine will, you will be carrying out the will of someone else and be controlled by the stimulus of your environment. However, the balanced combination of the two and the offspring is what most of the world would recognize as the Holy Trinity. In the Christian tradition, this is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. However, this derives from a much older esoteric Trinity, which is thoughts, emotion, and action. These are the only three ways that we can interact with creation. When all these are in alignment, meaning your thoughts, emotions, and action are all acting as one without contradiction, this is known as unity or Christ consciousness. This is how you step into your own power. Now that we have gone over all 7 laws, let's see if we can use them to reason how the All created the universe. Using the help of the law of correspondence for this task, let's start by asking how man creates. Man can create by using material outside of himself. However, there's nothing outside of the All, so this can't be the answer. Man can procreate by transferring a portion of himself to his offspring. However, the All cannot transfer, multiply, or divide itself. It is all that exists and all that can ever exist. So what other ways can man create? Man can create mentally. Man can create thoughts completely within inside his own being without outside material. This is how the All created the universe, and how we can deduce that the universe is a mental construct created by the All. This brings up the reality that nothing is really real, and this is true. If it had a beginning and an end, it was never real. This is true of you and me, of suns, planets, and even the universe. As even science now is saying, that matter is actually just vibratory energy. The All is the only real thing in existence. With this being said, our existence does matter. We are experiencing existence on the plane of matter, so that is where our work is to be done. Our goal is to understand the natural laws that have been placed here, and to align our will with the will of the All. Even when coming to an understanding of these laws, we cannot escape them, and they are always in effect. It is arrogance and hubris, even for the most powerful being in the universe, that would look to be a god to mere men, to believe that they can escape the laws set here by the All. We are eternal aspects of the All itself, on a path of experiencing its own creation, over and over again throughout the universe, living by the eternal laws it has put in place. We may not know the exact meaning of life, but this gives us a good place to start. start to contemplate. When Hermes was asked the question, "Why does the all create universes?" by one of his advanced students, he pressed his lips closely together, maybe indicating that there was no answer, at least not one that could be understood by us. As the old phrase goes, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. Knowledge of the Hermetic laws can be thought about as a master key, opening up many doors of occult and everyday knowledge. They are universal laws that apply to all creation. Use them to master your own psyche and the world around you. Use it as a reconciler to differing philosophies and religions. I'll end today on this quote from the Kabbalion, one of the best sources of Hermetic philosophy. The possession of knowledge, unless accompanied by a manifestation and expression in action, is like the hoarding of precious metals, a vain and foolish thing. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. The law of use is universal, and he who violates it suffers by reason of his conflict with natural forces. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Until next time, take care.